At my mother's 60th birthday party, my sister Rachel stood up in front of 30 family members and called me a broke loser who can't even afford a decent gift. I calmly reached into my purse and pulled out the $500,000 check I'd received that morning from selling my business. Her mouth dropped open and stayed that way, and what happened next destroyed her credibility forever. Before I dive into this story of sisterly sabotage and the most satisfying business success revelation imaginable, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button if you've ever had family members underestimate your financial success or mock your business ventures, and subscribe to True Revenge for more stories of entrepreneurial vindication served cold. My name is Jessica, I'm 31 years old, and until this past weekend, my older sister Rachel believed I was the family failure who couldn't manage money or build a successful career. This story begins with years of business criticism disguised as sisterly concern and ends with a $500,000 check that silenced my biggest critic in front of our entire family. I come from a middle-class family where financial stability and traditional career paths were highly valued. My father worked as an accountant for 30 years before retiring, and my mother was a nurse who prided herself on practical decision-making and conservative spending habits. My sister Rachel, who's 3 years older than me, followed exactly the path our parents expected. She got a degree in finance, landed a job at a regional bank, and worked her way up to branch manager over 8 years. She earns about $85,000 annually, owns a modest house in the suburbs, and has a retirement account that she contributes to religiously. Rachel has always positioned herself as the financially responsible sister who makes smart, practical decisions. She's proud of her steady income, her good credit score, and her ability to afford a comfortable lifestyle without taking risks. I took a very different path. After college, I struggled to find my place in traditional employment. I worked several office jobs that left me feeling unfulfilled and constantly worried about being laid off or passed over for promotions. 5 years ago, I decided to start my own business. I launched an online platform called StyleSync that helps people organize and coordinate their wardrobes using AI-powered recommendations and virtual styling services. The idea came from my own struggles with getting dressed efficiently and my friends constantly asking for fashion advice. I thought there might be a market for personalized styling services that were more affordable than hiring a personal stylist but more sophisticated than just randomly shopping online. I started StyleSync with $15,000 in savings and a $25,000 small business loan. For the first 2 years, I worked 80-hour weeks, learning web development, customer service, marketing, and business operations while building the platform from scratch. My family's reaction to my entrepreneurial venture was mixed at best. My parents were supportive but worried. "Jessica, starting a business is very risky," my mother cautioned. "What if it doesn't work out? You'll have no steady income, no benefits, no security." Rachel was much more critical. "An online fashion business?" she said when I first explained StyleSync. "Jessica, that market is completely saturated. You're competing against major retailers with unlimited marketing budgets. This seems like an expensive hobby rather than a real business plan," she continued. "You're going to waste your savings on something that will probably fail within a year." Rachel's skepticism intensified when StyleSync's growth was slow during the first year. I was reinvesting every penny of revenue back into the platform, so I had very little disposable income and was living extremely frugally. "I told you this business idea was unrealistic," Rachel would say during family gatherings. "Jessica's been working on this for over a year and still can't afford to go out to dinner with us." When I moved to a smaller apartment to reduce my overhead costs, Rachel treated it as confirmation that my business was failing. Jessica had to downsize her living situation because her business isn't generating real income, she'd tell relatives. She's basically unemployed but won't admit it. Constant criticism from Rachel was discouraging, especially because my parents sometimes seemed to agree with her practical concerns about my unconventional career choice. "Rachel has a point about financial security," my father would say diplomatically. "Maybe you could keep the business as a side project while you get a regular job with benefits." But I was determined to make StyleSync successful, partly because I believed in the concept and partly because I wanted to prove that Rachel's conservative approach to career building wasn't the only path to financial success. By year 3, StyleSync began gaining significant traction. I had developed partnerships with several fashion brands, built a user base of over 50,000 active customers, and was generating consistent monthly revenue. However, I was still reinvesting most profits into technology improvements, marketing, and staff hiring. My personal lifestyle remained modest, which Rachel interpreted as evidence that the business wasn't actually profitable. "Jessica's been doing this startup thing for 3 years now," Rachel would tell family members. "If it was really successful, wouldn't she have more to show for it by now?" During holidays and family gatherings, Rachel would make pointed comments about financial responsibility and the importance of steady employment. "I'm so grateful for my stable job and regular paycheck," she'd say. "I can't imagine the stress of never knowing if you'll have income next month." The implication was always clear. Rachel viewed my entrepreneurial path as financially irresponsible and likely to end in failure. Last year, StyleSync reached a major milestone when we secured a partnership with a national department store chain. Our user base grew to over 200,000 customers, and our annual revenue reached $1.8 million. But I still maintained a modest personal lifestyle, driving an older car and living in the same small apartment. Rachel interpreted my frugality as confirmation that the business wasn't actually generating personal wealth for me. "Jessica claims her business is doing well, but look at how she lives," Rachel would observe. "She's either lying about the success or she's terrible with money management." What Rachel didn't understand was that I was being strategic about personal spending while building long-term business value. StyleSync was profitable and growing rapidly, but I was focused on positioning the company for potential acquisition rather than maximizing my immediate personal income. 6 months ago, I began receiving inquiries from larger companies interested in acquiring StyleSync. The AI-powered styling technology we developed was attracting attention from major fashion retailers who wanted to integrate our platform into their existing operations. After months of negotiations, I accepted an acquisition offer from Fashion Forward Corp., a major e-commerce platform that wanted to add our personalization technology to their customer experience. The acquisition deal was finalized last week for $500,000 upfront plus equity shares in the acquiring company and potential performance bonuses over the next 3 years. The $500,000 check representing the initial payment was delivered to my office yesterday morning, the same day as my mother's 60th birthday party. I had planned to keep the acquisition news private until all the legal details were completed, but Rachel's behavior at Mom's birthday party changed my plans. Party was held at my parents' house with about 30 family members including grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Everyone had been asked to bring a gift and share a toast honoring my mother's milestone birthday. I had brought an expensive spa weekend package for my mother, a gift that cost more than I usually spent but that I could afford thanks to the business sale. During the gift opening portion of the party, my mother opened my spa package and seemed genuinely pleased with the thoughtful present. "Jessica, this is wonderful," she said. "I've been wanting to try this spa for years." That's when Rachel made her critical mistake. "Well, that's surprising," Rachel announced loudly enough for the entire room to hear. "I didn't think Jessica could afford something like that given her financial situation." Several family members looked uncomfortable with Rachel's comment, but she wasn't finished. "I hope you didn't go into debt buying expensive gifts you can't afford," Rachel continued, addressing me directly. "We've talked about the importance of living within your means." I felt my face flush with embarrassment and anger, but I tried to respond diplomatically. "Rachel, I can afford the gift," I said quietly. "My business is doing well." Rachel laughed dismissively. "Jessica, you've been claiming your business is successful for years while living in a studio apartment and driving a car since 2015. If StyleSync was really profitable, you'd have something to show for it." The room fell silent as family members realized Rachel was publicly criticizing my financial management and business success. "Someone needs to be honest with Jessica about her financial fantasies," Rachel declared, standing up with her wine glass like she was giving a toast. My sister is a broke loser who can't even afford a decent apartment, let alone expensive gifts. She's been pretending to run a successful business for 5 years while actually living paycheck to paycheck. I stared at Rachel in shock. She had just called me a broke loser in front of our entire extended family at our mother's 60th birthday party. Rachel, that's enough, my mother said firmly, but Rachel wasn't done. Someone needs to tell Jessica the truth about her situation. She can't even afford a decent gift without probably maxing out credit cards. That's when I reached into my purse. Rachel, since you've decided to make my finances a public topic of conversation, I think it's time to share some recent news. I pulled out the acquisition check I had received that morning, a cashier's check for $500,000 made out to me personally. This morning, I finalized the sale of Style Sync to Fashion Forward Corp., I announced to the room. This is the initial payment for the acquisition. I held up the check so everyone could see the amount clearly written, $500,000. The room was completely silent. 30 family members were staring at the check while Rachel's mouth dropped open and stayed that way. The total acquisition package is worth approximately $750,000 over 3 years, plus equity shares in the acquiring company, I continued. So when you suggest that I'm a broke loser who can't afford gifts, the facts suggest otherwise. I folded the check and put it back in my purse while maintaining eye contact with Rachel. Style Sync was profitable for the past 3 years. I kept my personal expenses low because I was focused on building business value rather than displaying wealth. The strategy worked. The room erupted in congratulations and amazement. Family members began approaching me to ask about the business sale and express their shock at Rachel's behavior. Jessica, I had no idea your business was so successful, my uncle said. $500,000, that's incredible. Rachel, I can't believe you said those things about Jessica, my Aunt Carol addressed my sister. You owe her an apology. My mother was mortified by Rachel's behavior but proud of my achievement. Jessica, I'm so sorry about Rachel's comments, she said privately. And I'm incredibly proud of what you've built with Style Sync. Rachel sat frozen in her chair, unable to respond to the congratulations I was receiving or acknowledge her mistake in attacking my character and financial success. For the rest of the evening, family members approached me to congratulate me on the business sale and ask questions about my entrepreneurial journey. I always wondered why you lived so modestly if your business was successful, my cousin mentioned. Now I understand you were being strategic about building long-term value. Rachel left the party early without speaking to me or acknowledging her public attack on my character and finances. The drive home gave me time to process what had happened. Rachel's assumptions about my financial situation had been completely wrong, but more importantly, her willingness to publicly humiliate me revealed the extent of her jealousy and resentment about my unconventional career path. The aftermath of the birthday party confrontation created lasting changes in family dynamics. Rachel's reputation within our extended family was seriously damaged. Relatives who had previously respected her practical financial advice began questioning her judgment and her treatment of me. I can't believe Rachel was so wrong about Jessica's business, my grandmother said at a later family gathering. And the way she attacked her at the birthday party was cruel. Several family members approached me privately to apologize for sometimes doubting my business venture over the years. I realize now that I was wrong to suggest you should get a real job, my father admitted. You proved that entrepreneurship can be more financially rewarding than traditional employment. Rachel made several attempts to repair our relationship, but her apologies focused more on the inappropriate timing of her comments rather than acknowledging years of undermining my business efforts. I'm sorry I brought up your finances at Mom's birthday party, she said to me a few weeks later. That wasn't the right time or place for those concerns. Rachel, the problem wasn't the timing, I replied. The problem was that you spent 5 years telling family members I was financially irresponsible and that my business was going to fail. Her attempts at reconciliation felt hollow given the extent of her previous criticism and her public humiliation at the party. 6 months later, I'm using the acquisition money to invest in real estate and start my next business venture. I've also upgraded my lifestyle appropriately. I bought a newer car and moved to a larger apartment that reflects my actual financial success. The house hunting process was particularly satisfying. After years of living in a studio apartment to minimize expenses, I was able to purchase a beautiful 2-bedroom condo in an upscale neighborhood that Rachel had once said was too expensive for people like me. My new business venture is a consulting firm that helps other entrepreneurs navigate the acquisition process. Having gone through the experience myself, I understand the challenges of building a business for sale and can guide other founders through the complex legal and financial aspects of exit strategies. Consulting firm has already signed 3 clients, and I'm projecting 6-figure revenues within the first year. This time, I'm being more strategic about balancing business reinvestment with personal lifestyle improvements, having learned that extreme frugality can create misconceptions about your actual success. I've also started speaking at entrepreneurship conferences about building businesses for acquisition. The story of StyleSync's growth from a $40,000 startup to a $750,000 exit has resonated with audiences, and I've received several offers to write about my experience for business publications. Rachel occasionally asks family members about my new business projects, but we don't have direct conversations about my career or financial planning. She's never directly acknowledged that her years of criticism were unfounded, preferring to focus on moving forward rather than addressing past behavior. The most telling moment came at Christmas dinner when Rachel made a comment about people who get lucky with business timing. She still couldn't bring herself to acknowledge that StyleSync's success was the result of strategic planning and hard work rather than luck. Jessica was in the right place at the right time with her fashion platform, she told our cousin. The AI trend made her business valuable, but it was mostly fortunate timing. I decided not to engage with Rachel's revisionist narrative. Let her believe that my success was luck rather than admit she'd been wrong about my capabilities and business judgment. The experience taught me several important lessons about family dynamics, business building, and wealth display. First, family members who constantly criticize your unconventional career choices may be motivated by their own insecurities about taking risks rather than genuine concern for your welfare. Second, living modestly while building business value is a legitimate strategy, but it can create misconceptions about your actual financial success that may need to be corrected when critics become too aggressive. Third, entrepreneurial success often takes longer to become visible than traditional career advancement, which can make it a target for criticism from people who prefer predictable paths. Most importantly, the experience reinforced that building something valuable takes time and persistence, but the financial rewards can far exceed what's possible in traditional employment. Today, I'm proud of the business I built and the acquisition that validated years of hard work. My net worth has increased dramatically, and I'm exploring opportunities for my next entrepreneurial venture. Rachel's predictions about my business failure have been thoroughly disproven, but more importantly, I've learned to trust my own vision for building wealth rather than accepting others' limitations about what's possible. The birthday party incident has become something of a family cautionary tale about the dangers of underestimating family members and making assumptions about others' financial situations based on their lifestyle choices. If you've experienced family members questioning your business ventures or financial decisions, know that their criticism often says more about their own relationship with risk and success than about your actual potential. Document your achievements, stay focused on building long-term value, and don't let other people's conservative mindset limit your entrepreneurial ambitions. If you enjoyed this story of sisterly sabotage and business acquisition vindication, please give this video a like and subscribe to True Revenge for more stories of entrepreneurial underdogs proving family doubters wrong. Share your own experiences with family business criticism in the comments below. Have you ever had relatives mock your business ventures or question your financial decisions? Remember that building wealth through entrepreneurship often looks different from traditional career success, and sometimes the most satisfying response to family critics is simply showing them the check that proves your value. Thank you for listening to my story of birthday party vindication and business sale justice. Sometimes the best revenge against people who call you a broke loser is a $500,000 check with your name on it.